Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about breathing technique to improve your joint health. And if you're interested in that, definitely stick around. And so it's important that we think about this because as we age, as we get older, as we increase the number of our age, what happens is, think about it from the perspective of maybe you or your family members, anyone that's getting older, their ability for their joints to really move gets harder. A lot of us experience arthritis. A lot of us have like some sort of degenerative disease that make our bones start grinding on each other. It starts off sometimes simple, right? Maybe it's just your hands or your wrists, or maybe it gets really severe where you had a hip fall, you got injured, you end up getting surgery or something, and you're pretty much knocked out of the game. And so joint health is super important, and I know for myself 100% as I'm in my late 30s now. I wouldn't say late 30s. Yeah, I would say in my late 30s. It's number one concern for me. I know when I am getting older, I want to really tune in, dial in my health, so that way I don't have to think too much about it. A lot of us think about our health after it's already too late, right? Once you get injured, once you are kicked out of the game, then you start with, oh, I wish I did this, or oh, what can I be doing? What supplements can I take? What pills can I take to get back myself? How do I regrow, cartilage? How do I, stop the bones from grinding? But they're all like simple band-aids, because the real fix takes time. The real fix goes from a thought to an action, and that action becomes behaviors, and those behaviors over time will become a habit. That's the key right there. We're tying in quantum habits right there. That's the key, because once you have that habit, it's so much easier to build a personality out of it, right? You become the person that does this, and as you keep doing this over and over, guess what? It becomes a lifestyle. And so as we talk about that, I always want to bring back and take a step back and understand why we talk the way we talk in these videos. And we talk about alpha. What is the alpha state of a human? What is your movement? What is your metabolism? What is your mindset? We obsess over that all day long at Alpha, because we know for you to have your optimal state of genetics or genetic potential, you need to understand how are you moving. And when we move, are we breathing properly? Are we moving our body so that our joints are moving and we're getting blood flow to the certain areas that we normally don't get blood flow? Are we eating the right foods when we are feeding? Are we eating processed food? Are we eating natural foods? And then at the same time, we should stop eating, right? We shouldn't be always eating. We shouldn't be thinking about, I need to be always eating to get energy. Sometimes our body needs a break, right? Our GI system needs a break so you can process the food that you just ate, or burn a lot of the excess fuel that you're storing up in many different parts of your body. So we talk about that metabolism. We already have a lot of that. You could go ahead and take a look at it in the playlist. But really, the mindset piece ties into how you do anything. What does your rise ritual look like? What are you doing right when you wake up? And what are those the behavior stacks that you're doing while you're doing it? And then simultaneously, what are you doing when you end the day? What does your rest ritual look like? How do you initiate your rest? Is it 2 hours before bed, 3 hours before bed? Do you have certain rituals that you do that help you go into your slumber and help you recover throughout the night so you can wake back up and restart the solar cycle, right? The circadian rhythm, as I like to say. Your mindset's really about the circadian rhythm and how do you optimize it for, whatever the task at hand. I already made a ton of those videos. You can go ahead and take a look at it in the playlist. But in this one, we want to really double click on movement, specifically breath work, and how we can improve our joint mobility, right? Our joint health. And so I want to talk about the breath. And the way I always start this conversation is we'll do a breath together. I want to share a breath with you. And so let's go ahead and give that a try. So whatever that means, right? When I say take a deep breath, whatever that means. I don't judge. I'm going to do a weird one. I'm going to exaggerate just so that you can see what I would normally see. So when I say take a deep breath in, we'll go, and then we'll go ahead and relax. Right? So usually a deep breath means we really exaggerate and then we let it go. But what if I were to tell you that when you do a breath like that, you're actually not fully maximizing your capacity. You're not taking in the breath from the majority of the lungs. Your lungs are this massive. Think about that tree behind me. If I were to flip it upside down, that's like a lung, right? And you're only breathing from the trunk area that you just saw. Think about that. You're only getting like 20 to 30%. Not a lot. But that's what most of us do. And so what happens is we get tired, we don't get enough energy, so we take supplements, we take energy drinks, we try to do something to give us energy, but it's sort of a waste of time. And so what I want to do with you is show you that technique. What is that breathwork technique that I always talk about? It's called a diaphragmatic breath, right? We want to leverage our diaphragm to actually take in a breath. And what that means is when you are doing that, you push down the diaphragm so it contracts, so your lungs can expand fully from the lower regions as well. And you'll notice that your belly sticks out. Your belly actually expands because your diaphragm pushes down the contents of your belly, so it's pushed out. Think about it from like a child. When you see a child and they're growing up and they're breathing, they're always breathing from their belly. You see their belly just expanding and rising. And that's beautiful. You want to see that. And we forget that because as we get older and older, we start hunching more, slouching more, slouching more. And eventually we like almost look like a C. And that C forces what? Gravity pushes down our ability to actually breathe. And that limits our potential at the same time. So what I want to do with you is actually do the diaphragmatic breath. We'll take 5 of them, but I'm going to do 2 as just an introduction, and then we'll go from there. So let's get started. So let's put our right hand on our heart, left hand on our belly, and I'm going to just show you demonstrative purposes what that looks like from the side. So we're going to expand the belly and rise the chest. Expand the belly and rise the chest. So let's go get started. So expand the belly, rise the chest, and then we're going to let it go. We're going to expand the belly, rise the chest, and then we're gonna let it go. And we're gonna do 5 of these together. And after the 5th one, you'll see how that makes you feel. So let's go ahead and put your right hand on your heart, left hand on your belly, and let's go ahead and inhale. Inhale from the top. 1. Again. 2. Again. 3. 4. Last one. 5. How do you feel? I know I feel calm, I feel more centered, I feel more grounded. And it's really important how we think about when we breathe, right? So think about when we did that, big exaggerated breath, how much oxygen did we get versus the way we were doing the belly breathing. We got a ton more. I don't know about you, but I am energized. I feel tingling, I feel great. Some of you might have yawned, some of you might have felt a little tired, sleepy possibly, and that's completely okay. That just means that we've hyperoxygenated you and you don't really know what to do with all that extra energy. So think about it, when you take so much energy drinks, what happens? You end up falling asleep. If you really take a lot of it, it knocks you out. And so similarly, same thing, oxygen is really that thing that gives us the energy that we need. Most of us don't get it. And so as a result, we look for it in so many different random places that are not always good for you. And so understanding that, what's the point, right? How does this tie in with your joint? That makes no sense, right? Shaquille, how do you make sense of that? And the way you make sense of that is when you get in more energy, when you get in more oxygen from the environment, you don't have to resort to drugs. You don't have to resort to pills. You can just breathe. Do breathing exercises, do modalities, this specific one, do 30 of these, 40 of these. Watch what happens. Watch the miracles start occurring within you. Try doing a squat. Try moving your joint. Try doing it and see that you'll be like, whoa, how am I doing this? Find something about you that you've had struggled with for a while and see what happens when you actually do that movement in that time period that you were doing it. But for us to understand that, we need to make sense of it. And so factor that in. The way you breathe will impact the way you actually take it in. And so doing the belly breath will allow you to get more energy and more oxygen, which will allow your joints to get that energy, that ATP that it needs to make that movement. Remember, your joint doesn't live in isolation. Your joint has muscles and tendons and fascia all associated with it. All of that need that energy. And so when you do it that way, you get that energy, and that energy will allow you to move naturally and more fluidly versus what you're doing now. Maybe it's ragged, depending on what that movement is. Some of you might have really tight hips. Some of you might have really tight shoulders, neck possibly. Very, very common areas are the neck and the lower back, right? And so maybe do a little bit of joint movement there after you take a little bit of breath. Great. So hopefully you found value in that. If you did, go ahead and like the video, letting me know you liked the video. If you disliked it, go ahead and dislike it and let me know in the comments why, so I can improve upon it. At the same time, you know, what I really love to see is you guys go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That lets me know that you are getting value, and I'm also getting value from the fact that you're getting value, right? At the end of the day, it's a non-zero-sum game the way I'm playing it. With that, my name is Shaquille. I'm with Alpha. If you enjoyed this, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.